What's up? It's Austin from this In the House podcast. Today we're just going to be going back, and we posted a video about a week and a half ago about our first impressions on some of the first round picks in the 2025 NFL draft. We're going to go back here and dive into some of the second round picks, how they are going to impact fantasy for dynasty and redraft. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into the video. Second round picks. First guy, Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State, gets drafted to the Houston Texans with the 34th pick. And this is a receiver that I think is a very good receiver. I think overall he could be very good. Nico Collins actually was the comparison that EA gave Jaden Higgins, which is kind of ironic since now they're both on the Houston Texans. But Higgins, a 6'4" wide receiver, 217 pounds. His routes are crisp. Doesn't really drop the ball at all. Can catch in traffic well, beat press coverage. The one downside is his speed. He's not the fastest receiver, but you look into the Texans, he can practically be used as a Nico Collins replacement. Obviously, he's not going to have the kind of star plays that Nico Collins can give you, right? But he's that same build at receiver. Obviously nowhere near as fast as Nico Collins, but still a guy that that the Houstons can plug in. If Nico Collins does get hurt, which we've seen a lot, Nico Collins has been injury prone. Higgins can slide right in there on weeks that maybe Collins is out with injury, and give the Texans some valuable targets, receptions, whatever. He's a guy that we think can get on the field a decent bit here his rookie season. We think for Dynasty, if he can take over the other outside role and become a full-time starter, which I think you would have to assume at some point he would overtake Christian Kirk on the other side. That puts him, in a stacked Texans room, but he's still a starter with positive traits. So you have to like that. But next guy here, Quinshon Judkins, the running back out of Ohio State. Browns pick him at the 36th pick. A guy that has real 3-down potential in the NFL. The comparison that EA gave him was Ezekiel Elliott. Again, we're not saying that Quinshon Judkins is going to be prime Ezekiel Elliott, but we think that his play style kind of matches that of an Ezekiel Elliott. With his vision and contact balance, has good burst, a lot of positive traits, but maybe a little bit overrated long speed. He can get you good burst, but can get tracked down some. Average in pass pro, which is a big thing. It's not going to show up in fantasy, but it's going to get him on the field, right? Like, you don't get fantasy points for a running back getting a good good block, but that's something that's going to put him on the field. So that's obviously important. And receiving is a big question mark here. Obviously, receiving a major point in a PPR format. Judkins was a good receiver his freshman year at Ole Miss. Ohio State, he wasn't really used in that way. So can he get back to receiving is a really big question here. And if you believe that he can be a great receiving back with 3-down usage, I think he's great for redraft and dynasty, right? Redraft, you have to look at him as potentially probably the starter in the Browns offense. And then for dynasty, if he can contain that starting spot, it should go well for at least a couple years. But yeah, Quinshon Judkins is a guy that how you feel about Quinshon Judkins comes down to the receiving aspect a lot. That if you can think he can be a good receiver and a great pass pro, get on the field, 3-down usage, then you're probably going to be high on him. If you don't see that, then you probably won't be as high on him. But yep, Quinshon Judkins to the Browns there. Next guy, the other Ohio State running back, goes 2 spots after him at 38. TreVeyon Henderson to the Patriots. With Henderson, we expect him and Ramondre to be kind of a 1-2 backfield, at least for the first couple of weeks of the season. Henderson complements Ramondre very well. great ball security, great in pass protection, receiving. Those are kind of weaknesses in a way in Ramondre's game, so they complement each other well. You could see immediate impact with TreVeyon Henderson, which obviously is going to help you with redraft a lot. And by the end of the year, there's a chance that TreVeyon Henderson just overtakes Ramondre and is the clear running back one, and that, for Dynasty would just be absolutely huge, because then you have a starting running back for the future. So TreVeyon Henderson, definitely somebody to think that could. Ramondre, obviously a solid running back, but TreVeyon Henderson, I think, has the upside, has the potential to clear him as soon as towards the back end of this year. So it'll be interesting to see there. Next guy, Luther Burden, goes to the Bears at the 39th pick out of Missouri. This is more of a long-term pick. Burden, I think, could be good immediately, but he's in a crowded room, more of a slot wide receiver. That's where Colston Loveland, where they just drafted with the 10th pick, where he'll probably get a lot of volume. So immediate impact, it's gonna be kind of tough. He'll get on the field immediately. I'm not saying that he just won't play, but I don't know if he'll be very impactful in a fantasy environment, other than an occasional touchdown or something like that. But Deontay Johnson was the comp from EA. A tremendous athlete, as you saw at Missouri. Overall solid prospect. It's going to be more of when can he become, if Colston Loveland goes down, can he emerge and become a fantastic receiver? It's going to be a matter of fact of if and when can he kind of emerge in that Bears room. That's a talented Bears room, should be for a while, as they keep drafting weapons under Ben Johnson. But if Burden can emerge, the sky's the limit with Johnson as the head coach. Burden, again, solid prospect, but can he overtake some of the guys above him? Should be interesting to see there. Next guy, Tyler Shaw, the Saints quarterback. A lot of controversy around there with the 40th pick out of Louisville. 26-year-old quarterback. So obviously on the older end, which for Dynasty I think is immediate, kind of warning sign that he's 26 as a rookie. Not exactly what you want for a Dynasty. Shaw has good traits, strong arm, good accuracy, can read the field well, but it's more about who the Saints could have had. We didn't think that Shaw was a bad quarterback. We thought he was actually pretty good for where he was projected to go, and around some of the guys that he was projected to go. But with guys like Shador on the board, it's just kind of interesting why they went that route. But again, should be the starter. I don't know about immediate impact, honestly. It's a rookie quarterback with a not great offense, so redraft is probably a no-go. And then for Dynasty, again, 26-year-old rookie, probably not the best off the bat. Now, I'm not trying to hate on Tyler Shaw by any means, but just, redraft, it's probably going to take some time for him to adjust, and then he's already old for Dynasty. I'm not saying he can't be a good quarterback, but just kind of his, the situation, maybe not the best. Next guy, Mason Taylor, the Jets at the 42nd pick, tight end out of LSU. There's some questions long term, more about the fit. He's a solid tight end prospect. There's potential for a future tight end one. Honestly, he's pretty good potential of him being tight end one his rookie season, this season. But the situation is the biggest thing here. He goes to the Jets, and it's just like, what can he really do as the Jets tight end, right? How much upside is there really as the Jets tight end, right? He could blossom into a tight end one. He could blossom into a good tight end. But for redraft, it's just like as a rookie tight end, trying to learn the system in a bad offense. it's just not a good formula for success in fantasy for a rookie tight end there. And then for Dynasty, if you think that he can blossom into a great tight end one, or maybe you think he gets dealt or goes somewhere out of New York, or New York becomes good in a couple years, right? Then I think he can be a valuable asset for a Dynasty league. That's all. What you think, right? Like, we have no idea how the future's going to play out. If you think he can turn into a good tight end on a good team, then obviously he's worth a pick in Dynasty. Next guy, Terrence Ferguson, another tight end. Goes to the Ram at 46. Solid tight end prospect overall. All around, balanced tight end. Good fit. Really good fit at the Rams. Good frame, athletic, good route runner, good blocker. Overall, just a solid pick there for the Rams. I mean, can he overtake Colby Parkinson year one? I mean, probably. Immediate starter. Even if he starts immediately, I don't think he'll get like all the tight end reps immediately, like a workhorse kind of guy. But I mean, I think Dynasty he should take the Rams tight end one job over Colby Parkinson fairly soon. So yep, I got to manage there. Terrence Ferguson. Next guy, Elijah Arroyo, to the Seahawks at 50. Another tight end, kind of a string of tight ends there. This is a modern tight end build. He had a fantastic Senior Bowl. Very fast, doesn't really drop it. No major weaknesses, and kind of a vertical threat that can go into the Seahawks offense. This is, a fantastic fit for the Seahawks, and for Arroyo. I mean, immediate impact, should be the tight end one for Dynasty. I mean, hopefully he can hold that job. You would at least expect that. But I mean, I think there should be some good volume there, and kind of a guy that maybe is getting slept on in redraft. Not a guy that you're going to go out and necessarily draft as your tight end one, or at least I hope you don't draft him as your tight end one in a redraft. But maybe a sleeper guy that you need somebody on the waiver wire this week, and you go snag him, or something along those lines. A guy that could really, has breakout potential in the future, I think, at least. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see his role, how much usage he gets in year one. Next guy, Trey Harris, wide receiver out of Ole Miss, to the Chargers at 55. Great in yards after the catch. Just an explosive playmaker, fast, elusive wide receiver, got good hands, although he does kind of struggle to catch it in traffic. In terms of the Chargers, how he kind of plays in, he's not going to be wide receiver one over Ladd McConkey, at least for this year. I don't expect that to be the case, at least for a very long while. But a guy, I'm high on Trey Harris. I watched what he did at Ole Miss. I thought he was great at Ole Miss. So definitely a guy that he's going to find his way onto the field, right? He's going to run some of those underneath routes. He's going to get his name into the offense, right? He's gonna get into the mix. Not going to be a guy that's going to go out there and be the star of the show every week, but he's going to get into the offense, going to get some catches, right? Almost like an acclimation year. So it'll be cool to see. But yeah, Trey Harris, just a guy that he's gonna get into the offense. Can he emerge is the question, right? Can he emerge as that wide receiver 2? Can he pass Ladd McConkey as wide receiver 1 in this Chargers offense at some point down the road? Those are the questions you got to ask yourself if you're gonna think about drafting him in Dynasty. And then something else, the injury concerns. He had some injury concerns at Ole Miss. He missed the Shrine Bowl because of it. Just something to monitor, right? I'm a guy that doesn't like to try to predict injuries when drafting, right? I think that's just stupid. But you do have to take into account injury history. So Trey Harris, there is an injury history there. So just something to monitor. Nothing I'm too worried about right now. Just something to monitor down the road. Next guy, Jack Besh, wide receiver out of TCU, gets drafted to the Raiders at 58. This was one of EA's favorite players of the draft. elite upside. I mean, this is what EA thought. Elite upside. Should be wide receiver 2 immediately. Great hard cuts. Good hands, fast. Can really catch anything in the range, in his range. EA was very high on Jack Bech. I mean, I kind of agree with him. Should be wide receiver 2 immediately behind Jakobi Meyers. And I mean, Jakobi Meyers is a good wide receiver, but if Jack Bech can be anything substantial or anything, that EA thinks he could be, he should be wide receiver 1 in this offense in the future. So for Dynasty and redraft, honestly, probably a good pick, especially for redraft. If you don't think, like, EA was on the extreme end of Jack Bech. He thought that Jack Bech was one of his favorite guys. So if you're more moderate on Jack Bech, at least for redraft, you should still like him, because at the end of the day, he should be getting a decent bit of volume in the Raiders' offense. He should be the third passing target there. And then for Dynasty, I mean, if you don't like him as much, obviously, you're probably not going to take him. But there's some guys like EA that were very high on Jack Bech, right? They think he's a very polished receiver. So Dynasty, I mean, obviously there's a lot of upside when you draft him. And then the last guy we'll be talking about today, R.J. Harvey, the running back out of UCF to the Broncos at 60. This is a guy that I've been seeing get a lot of redraft hype. I'm not sure about Dynasty, but definitely a lot of redraft hype. Plus vision. He's agile, quick, good burst, good contact balance. But he did have a little bit of a fumble issue. And the thing that kind of scares me was there was no pass protection or receiving really usage in college, which I think is scary, because that's stuff that can really limit him on the field. To the Broncos, everybody expects he's just going to be, running back 1, which I don't think is crazy to expect. He should be running back 1, but Jaleel McLaughlin's a guy that is a great receiving back. So receiving packages, is Jaleel McLaughlin going to be in there instead of R.J. Harvey? If he didn't do that, if Harvey didn't really catch many passes in college, that's something to think about, right? But overall, Harvey into the Broncos offense. Again, as I said, a lot of people are expecting him to have just a ton of workload, and that therefore he's going pretty high in redraft. I would be a little bit more skeptical. At least I'm more skeptical than the market on Harvey, just because I am a fan of Jaleel McLaughlin. I think that he could steal a decent bit of usage, more usage than people think, from Harvey. And then for Dynasty, again, if you think he can turn out to something special, by all means, draft him. But, at the end of the day, he should be RB1, and unless the Broncos get somebody in the future, he should sustain that position at least for a little while. So, not a bad pick in Dynasty if you think he can bode well in the future. But that's going to end it today for this video. Hope you enjoy. We'll hope to keep just going down the list with these draft picks for fantasy football. But second round video today. Hope that helped you. Maybe you were wondering about one of these guys, and now you have a little bit more insight. Maybe you like them now, maybe you don't. But whatever. Just subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you next time.